What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Just Turtles. I'm here with a really good friend of mine, Brendan Hettinger.
Yep.
And we're here in Colorado. And really, Brendan is the reason I'm in Colorado.
Yeah, it's kind of my idea to invite Anthony out to come see and film some of the move at Philip Leitz's place at Aired's Only, and try to do like a Colorado turtle tours in a way, a mini one, just to try it out. Not during the most ideal time of year, but
yeah, you really have. And I don't know what I ever did to deserve you, but I'll take it. Like, it's amazing. I just really feel very welcome and like I'm in my place. These are my people.
Oh, well, thank you.
You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
My parents are pretty great, and my family is they're super welcoming and really excited to have you. And they've kind of gotten involved in this lifestyle a little bit too.
Yeah, and that's a really, I'm happy that comes up here, that piece about like your parents, that you're living with your parents. You're a very young guy, much younger than I am, that's for sure. But I can remember at your age, I was living at home with my parents, and I had a bunch of animals there, and it's an interesting dynamic, right? Like,
Oh yeah,
how to keep the animals kind of sometimes maybe a little bit towards the living space, and we know with animals there's smells and all of that stuff, and you try to do the best you can to keep everything well, so that it's not like impeding on the daily life of your loved ones.
yeah,
That's a challenge, right?
big challenge. Oh yeah. But my parents they've made a lot of sacrifices for me to like work with all these animals, and I usually have to consult with them if I bring anything in, and there's some species that I don't really let them have a say. I'm just, oh, it's here now.
Yeah.
Which we have some issues with that, but they get over it and they understand, and they know that maybe someday I'll move out.
But you do a really great job too, and that's the important piece too. So like, you do a really great job. The animals are clean, like it smells good in here. I know I always say that, but like that really is important. Like, you expect a smell, but if there's not one, that's a really big deal. You're keeping your animals clean, you're doing a good job.
Yeah, my parents wouldn't let me have aquatic turtles at all, or a tortoise for a while, because they thought they stunk. Yeah. Or they were super stinky.
Well,
so
they kind of can be.
They definitely can be. So that's
Yeah.
why I try and keep everything clean. And if like something's a little stinky, they're like, hey, you gotta take care of that. So I try to stay on it and keep on it.
Yeah. Well, you do a great job, and you have some really impressive, awesome, rare species. And I want to get into it right now and talk about what some of those are.
Let's go for it.
Let's go.
The reason why I chose to work with a lot of these different species is because as a kid, I grew up going to Denver Zoo all the time, and going there a lot, I got to see Pancake Tortoises, Egyptian Tortoises, Spangler Eye, Radiated Tortoises, and I got to see a lot of those animals grow, and those animals kind of come and go at the zoo. And that, I never knew that was like a thing where you could keep some of these rare species and work with them at a more personal level. So once I figured out that was like a possibility, I dove right in, and it really helped me narrow down like my top 3 favorite species that I ever wanted to work with. But I still am super impacted by all these other ones that I really want to work with on a more personal level. And as a temporary zookeeper at Denver Zoo, when I was there, I got to work with the pancakes, the Spangler Eye, the Egyptian Tortoises. They didn't have radiators anymore, but still got to work with a lot of cool species that you don't really see at a lot of other zoos, and that really influenced my collection quite a bit. This is one of my oldest male Egyptian tortoise. I got this guy from Ralph Till. This is my favorite species of tortoise. This little guy raised up from a hatchling from Ralph that I got, I think, around 2020, fall of 2020. Beautiful, beautiful tortoise. Super charismatic. This is my favorite tortoise out of my group of Egyptians. His name is Grogu. So initially, seeing these, they got little hatchlings at Denver Zoo that they raised up, and seeing those was just mind-blowing that a tortoise could be so small. But also seeing the video that you did at the Turtle Room, with the Turtle Room at Ralph Till's place, was just such an eye-opening video, and like changed my entire world. That's the only reason why I have Facebook, is because of that video, to contact Ralph and get Egyptian tortoises when they could cross state lines.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That was 10 years ago now.
Yeah. And was trying to get him ever since. And then when I finally got my hands on some of these, it was just amazing, absolutely amazing. Totally, just an amazing species, super underrated, in my opinion.
So how many of these do you have?
I have 9 currently. A group. I have 3 males, 3 females, and 3 unknown that I'm currently raising up. I'm hoping they're females. So these I'm part of CAP, which is the Clemeni Assurance Project, and we're trying to put together a massive stud book, do genetic research on these guys. We're trying to increase our genetic viability with Egyptian tortoises in the United States to hopefully continue producing the species into the future and keeping good genetics.
These guys are rare enough right now that it's possible that they could be extinct within our lifetime, legitimately extinct in the wild. And there are very few institutions in the world that are breeding these, but private individuals are having a lot of success.
A lot of success.
To the tune, when we were looking at opposing the ESA listing, not that the ESA is all bad, but the piece about restricting interstate commerce, the private sector had produced over 500 hatchlings in a 3-year span. I think now there's even more being produced in the last year or two since that happened, since we were preparing that information. So this is really important. And I tell Ralph all the time, I've heard, I can hear myself saying that to him. I've said it to him probably 15 times, 20 times, that if we're successful, that would mean that we created 5 to 10 breeders each ourselves. So that's what we're doing.
This was an amazing gift from Charlie Moorcroft and Dawson. This is a Radiated Tortoise.
Wow.
Really amazing gift. They helped facilitate this guy because I'd mentioned I really wanted to work with the species. There's only one other person in the state that I know that has these, and he just started breeding them. This is truly an amazing species. So well known. They need so much help, and it's just an amazing animal. I'm breathless every time I see this. Super lucky I get to work with this species. Amazing animal, and I couldn't be more thankful to have such amazing people at TTPG, and made some amazing friends with Dawson and Charlie to be able to work with this species.
That's awesome. Tell me about this enclosure that it's living in.
So yeah, this
habitat.
This enclosure is reptile tents, and I got it because I saw Dawson promoting it, and it's a very affordable enclosure. I liked the idea around it because I have Spangler eye in a grow tent. Colorado, I'm always fighting to keep like more humidity in these enclosures and not keep everything saturated. So I decided to get this enclosure, and I really like it. It really helps keep the humidity higher, the temps nice and warm and steady. The humidity, I would like to keep the humidity a little bit higher, but it's overall works really, really well in keeping this guy nice and smooth, as you can see.
Yeah, that thing is like a bowling ball. That's amazing.
Yeah, Charlie did pretty much all the work raising him to this point. He's only put on a little bit of growth since he's been here so far, but it's a super smooth animal, nice and high domed, no pyramiding.
So active.
So active. He's a little spicy.
I don't know if I've ever seen a radiated so spicy.
Yeah,
I've never kept them, but I mean, you know, I've seen many radiateds over the years, and I can't remember one ever being so spicy.
Well, on the Florida trip, that was my first time ever being able to hold the species.
Wow.
And get hands on it. Was when we all went to Florida.
And here you are keeping one.
Yeah, this is only the second one I've ever held or touched, and I get to work with it. I can't
That's incredible.
I can't believe it.
You deserve it. You're the future, and you deserve it. You do things the right way.
Oh, thank
Look
you.
how healthy this animal is. I'm so proud to know you. It's incredible.
Thank you.
And I just want to call out too. You mentioned, you're one of 2 people that you know of in this state that have them. That's important because this is a species that's on the Endangered Species Act, which means that interstate commerce is not possible, which does make it difficult to get animals across state lines unless people like Charlie, aren't in it for the money. And luckily there are people out there like that are doing this because they want to help the species and help other people that want to help the species. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah. This was only my second year going to the TTPG conference. And if you told me this like 5, even 3 years ago, that I'd be working with this species or getting to know Anthony, Charlie, Ralph, and so many other people, I would be like, no, you're full of it. I'm totally blown away and super grateful. It's been amazing.
You deserve every bit of it, my friend. So I'm here with one of my favorite species, Chrysemys picta. This is actually the western subspecies, though. Chrysemys picta bellii, or belli. These were my first love. The eastern, in particular. When I was 5 years old, my aunt used to take me to catch them because we were broke and it was free. It's a lot like fishing when you think about it, except you don't need to buy bait or tackle. You just have a net that you stole or bought from somewhere 10, 20 years prior, whatever. So anyway, I grew up thinking turtling was a normal thing and I never grew out of it. So anyway, these guys are my first love. And westerns in particular are a subspecies that I really love. They're the second most researched turtle on the planet behind the red-eared slider. And the reason for that is their amazing ability to get super cold, super cold, and even to freeze solid. So this looks to me, even though it's very small, this looks like it's going to be a male. And I was just so excited to spend a little time with him, even though he's not as happy to spend time with me. And the other piece that I'm really excited about is while I'm here in Colorado, this is the second time Brendan and I have been trying to find Western painted turtles in the wild. It should be easy because they're a basking species and all we have to do is see them on a log, but the weather hasn't agreed with us. So I'm hoping before I leave this state in the next couple of days that I'm going to see one of these for the first time in the wild. So a first love of mine and a subspecies that I love so much, this different version of them, the largest as well of the painted turtles, and with that pretty belly, as you can see. Here's hoping, fingers crossed, wish us luck, but I'm going to freak out if we see one. So tell me who we have here.
This is a little Pancake Tortoise. I got this little guy at the Reptile Expo after the TTPG conference this last year in 2024. I got this little one from Cameron Lamb, and the other one that I have that's a bit bigger from Andrew Hermes at Arizona Tortoise Compound. Really cool species. This is a species I've always really wanted to work with. I have a cousin in the family who has one of these, and he just loves it, and I've been obsessed with them ever since he showed it to me. And I worked with the species a little bit at Denver Zoo as a temporary zookeeper there. And it's just a super unique species. There's nothing really like it. It's nice, solid carapace and a squishy plastron. Way different than any other tortoise out there. They're all supposed to be super hard shelled, but these guys are rock crevice dwellers, living in, very similar to like the Uromastyx at Phillips Leitz areas only. They inhabit the rock crevices and they'll expand so they can't be pulled out of the rock crevices. Super cool.
Can you tell me, what are you using right here for a water bowl?
For a water bowl, it's a little dirty currently. It
is not dirty. Stop.
They just soaked themselves this morning. I see them regularly go in and out of the water dish, but that's a cap from that one Phil gave me. But I usually use them for like the peanut containers because I like to eat a lot of cashews. I use those lids as water dishes and food bowls for some of my animals because they're easy to clean, easy to throw away if they get too gross or something like that. They're a fantastic tool to use, and they're cheap, easy, and they look pretty good. don't know how to pronounce the scientific name, but this is one of my favorite species of snake. It's a North American species. These guys can live over 50 years. They give live birth. Farthest ranging boa species in the world. Super cold tolerant. And this is one of the males I'm raising up. Hoping to breed these guys someday. But something really unique about them is you see that little, you can see his head right there. Their tail, they use their tail to look like their head when they raid mice nests. And they'll kind of stick that in the mom and dad mice faces. So they'll attack the tail while the snake is eating the offspring in the nest. They actually have adapted this at the end of their tail. It's like a bony club underneath, just covered by the scales. And so with wild caught individuals, they'll be covered in scars from being attacked by mice while they're raiding nests. Super cool species. Oh, I hope one day to see these in the wild.
So here we go. And you're opening up this Vivasun. What the heck is this called? Grow tent? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
This grow tent, and it looks very similar to another grow tent that I saw at Talen's place.
Yes.
Yeah. So who had the grow tent first?
I did.
Okay.
I had the grow tent first. She actually, okay, that actually might not be true. She had a grow tent to grow greens and plants for her leopards and redfoots. And then we started brainstorming different ideas because she wanted to get the redfoots a bigger enclosure and keep the humidity up, which isn't easy to do in Colorado. And then I started using this for my Spangler eye just to keep high humidity because Colorado is extremely dry,
Right.
if you don't know. So we really bounced ideas back and forth of how we could make something like a grow tent work for her redfoots long term. Because we both had something small like this that she was growing plants in, and I was using it for my Spangler eye. And she ultimately came up with the final idea of totally making a really cool enclosure with the grow tent.
Yeah.
So we kind of bounced ideas off. She looked at this one. She asked what I was doing a lot about this, and I love what she did with hers. I'm really jealous.
Yeah. Show me what you got going on.
In here.
Okay.
It's not weed.
That's great. Oh, look at this guy. Love it. Now, we were talking about this turtle and whether or not this was a male or a female. Tell me about this species. I don't know if I've heard about these before.
Oh, that's a little scary then. No. So these are Uromastyx spangleri, the Vietnamese black-breasted leaf turtle. This is a species of turtle that I saw a lot growing up at Denver Zoo. I believe the stud bookkeeper used to be the curator of the area at Denver Zoo, so they produced a lot of these turtles. And I've just been attached ever since I was a little kid. So growing up and getting Instagram and finding Anthony on Instagram, seeing these, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is a real possibility. And now that I get to work with this species is mind-blowing. Super charismatic, curious, adorable species. And this one, hoping is a female, might not be. Just an amazing species to just work with and get to know.
Generally, we can tell at this size. We should be able to tell. And the eyes do look female, but the tail, the position of the cloaca is pretty far down for an animal that size. So the jury's still out on this one, even though it's larger. I mean, I can see sometimes some that are 20 grams, and I can tell, oh, that's a male, no doubt. But sometimes there are some that are really what you might call subadults, like this one, that are just a little bit ambiguous.
Yeah, very tricky.
So we're down here in the basement right now, which is cool. You have this extra fridge, and then a lot of these animals are able to be colder.
Yes.
Which is nice.
I brewmate some of my snakes on the basement floor, just because of how cold it gets down here in the basement, and keep my worms in the fridge. My parents don't like me keeping worms upstairs.
My wife doesn't like my worms either. I have my own fridge now and freezer we have one freezer for the house, fridge and freezer obviously in the house, and then in the garage there's my fridge and freezer which gets all that stuff in it. Anyway, so what are we doing right now?
So right now we're going to feed Ragnar. This is my male Vietnamese black-breasted leaf turtle, first one I ever got.
now we're going to check out something that's really cool. This is a snake species that I really don't know a lot about, but I'm really, really interested in. They share most of their range with the black-breasted leaf turtle that we just saw, one of the species that really is one of my favorite things in the entire world. So it's cool to kind of see these species that are sympatric with one another, share the same habitat. And then also, while I'm out here in Colorado, I'll be meeting Rob Stone, who's one of the leading, most successful breeders and leading experts really in the world for this species and many other snakes. So that's a really cool thing as well. I'm excited to show you this right now. The pretty enclosure. It's gorgeous, man.
Oh, thank you.
I like how realistic it looks too.
So right now we are looking at my male Rhino Rat Snake. His name is Rudy, and these guys are super cool, super variable, share the same range as Spangler Eyes, Anthony just said, and they're one of my favorite colubrids in the world. They have this really strange appendage on the front of their face. No one has any idea what it's for, and it's soft. It's not hard. There's no bone or anything. But that's how they get their name, Rhino Rat Snake, is because they have this one horn protruding from their face. And I'm hopefully going to try and bring this guy out so we can get a closer look at him.
Does not want to say hi.
No. There we go. So these snakes, they can be in many different shades of green: lime green, dark green, kind of an aqua-ish greenish blue. But there's also a morph of these guys where they're like electric blue. Super crazy snakes, very variable. You can see in between some of the scales, there's some blue and black. Beautiful, gorgeous snakes. Once I get this guy out of the enclosure, he's super calm compared to, if I were to reach my hand in the enclosure, he might bite me because I feed him in the enclosure. But once I get him out with a snake hook, he's calm and ready to hang out.
What a cool animal. What's up, guys? I'm here with Rob Stone, really well-respected and well-known snake breeder who is an expert in many species, but one of his focuses is the Rhino Rat Snakes that we were just looking at Brendan's place. So I just wanted to ask Rob, well, first of all, thanks for having us here. But I just wanted to ask, what makes this species so special to you?
Well, I've been working with them for 22 years now at home, and then 23 or 24 total. Hasn't been a day that's gone by in that time that I haven't had them, at least one in the house. And so I think there's that just sort of attachment. To me, they're an ultimate snake keeper snake. They tolerate a wide range of conditions, super amenable to different food items, presentations, feed schedules, all these different things. So yeah, to me, they're the best snake going.
I really appreciate the opportunity to see everything you have going on here and to see them. It's the best.
Worries.
Still at Rob Stone's place, and the snake expert actually has one turtle, and it's a stink pot musk turtle, common musk turtle, eastern musk turtle, and this is a species that I really love. You've seen me highlight on the channel before, but I wanted to talk about this one. This is a full-grown turtle. This is an adult turtle. Rob has actually had this turtle for 12 years. So you see how small this turtle is compared to my hand. It's a little one. It's a full-grown male, and sometimes they even top out in sizes smaller than this. Usually those animals are from Central Florida, but there is a lot of research that has been done. Well, maybe not a lot of research, but specific research that has been done on these particular turtles and some of those localities that produce smaller specimens. So I saw this one, I got really excited about it naturally. This one, if I had to guess, is probably around 35 grams, 40 grams. So in terms of some of those populations, it's actually kind of a big male. But in terms of the species in general and the genus in general, this is obviously a very, very tiny turtle. And a cute one. And a smelly one, because he did musk me. Love you too.
Hit subscribe, join the crew. Just turtles, there's always something new.